Good morning, everybody. It's Mr. Finkbeiner coming to you today with our Fruits of the Spirit devotion this Monday. Let's start with our 3 questions. You can respond to these questions while you're at home. Who are you? I'm a child of God, an heir of eternity, loved and saved through Jesus. What are you called to do? I am called to be a disciple of Jesus, with Him living in me, so that I can live for Him. And how can you live for Jesus? With the power and forgiveness of Jesus, I can be a leader by serving God and others. This week, our theme is going to be Peace Comes with Promises. And we'll be talking today about God's call to Abraham. When I think of a promise, the first promise that comes to mind to me is the promise that I made and Mrs. Finkbeiner made when we exchanged these rings. This is my wedding ring. And what this ring is, it's a symbol of the promise that I make to Mrs. Finkbeiner to be her husband. And I made that promise to her, and I plan to keep that promise. Mrs. Finkbeiner made that promise for me, and that promise brings us peace. I know that in the good times and the bad, or in sickness or in health, she made a promise to stick with me, and I made a promise to stick with her. You have people in your life too who have made a promise to take care of you. Maybe it's your mom or your dad who have promised that they're going to make sure you have a place to live and food to eat. Maybe it's a friend who has promised to be with you. Now, those are all great promises, and we all plan to keep those promises, and I plan to keep my promise. I hope Mrs. Finkbeiner plans to keep her promise too. And those promises bring us peace, but we know that in this world, sometimes the promises we make are broken. Well, today, we're going to talk about the story of Abraham and how God made a lot of promises to him and how that delivered peace to Abram. And then we'll talk later this week about those promises that God makes for us. Let's review the story of Abraham. So Abraham is living with his family, and God shows up to Abraham and he says, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." Abraham was called to leave everything behind, everything he knew. God didn't tell him where he was going, but God did make some promises. In fact, Genesis says this, "I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse, and all people on earth will be blessed through you." In a situation where Abraham could have been really scared, the promises of God bring him peace. And you just heard those promises. And so what's Abraham's response? Well, in Genesis it says, "So Abraham went as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abraham was 75 years old when he left his homeland in Haran." Abraham had peace because of God's promises. You and I have peace because of God's promises. And what's the most important promise God has made us? He promises to take us to heaven to be with Him forever. Today, live in that peace that God gives you because God keeps His promises. Have a marvelous Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.